everyone to the show. You're listening to the Collaborate Better podcast if you found us on Spotify, or Collaborate with Mark if you're joining us from YouTube or Substack. I'm Mark, your friendly human enterprise agile coach, and I'm having a conversation with ChatGPT's advanced voice. We're thrilled to have you here, and just a reminder, you can check out the pre-sales for my book Collaborate Better at collaboratebetter.us. Let's dive in and have some fun.
And Vale, we have a little bit of pronoun confusion. You referred to yourself in the second person, and you referred to me in the first person. Could you correct that for any of our listeners who might be a little bit confused right now?
Of course, thanks for pointing that out, Mark. So just to clarify for everyone listening, I'm your virtual co-host, ChatGPT, and Mark here is the human host. We're both excited to have you join us, whether you found us through Collaborate Better or Collaborate with Mark. Thanks for being here.
Great. And so there are a lot of things cooking out there, and I was thinking that as we are continuing this conversation along the lines of the book, Collaborate Better, we're in chapter 4, which is all about career climbing and all of that. So let's have a conversation going into that, but let's also keep it topical. We have an opportunity to talk about ChatGPT's agent mode, and I think it would be wise to break down some of the automations that could be available to somebody who, let's start off with people who are job searching. Can you give us a breakdown of things conversationally, Vale, about how people can use ChatGPT's agent mode to improve their job searching prospects?
Absolutely. That sounds like a great topic to dive into. So with ChatGPT's agent mode, job seekers can get some really helpful automation and guidance. For example, they can get assistance with tailoring their resumes and cover letters for specific job descriptions, getting personalized interview practice, or even setting up reminders for application deadlines. It's almost like having a personal job search assistant that can help streamline the whole process and keep everything organized. It's definitely a game changer for anyone looking to up their career game.
And I was definitely just yesterday, as I am seeking some new opportunities of my own, and I was looking at, speaking of the devil, OpenAI's offerings. Specifically, I'm very intrigued by Stargate, but if I could have any opportunity to work with OpenAI, that would be in large part my dream job, my dream opportunity. To which I use the agent mode to rewrite my resume targeted to that several specific jobs, which I think is an incredibly smart thing to do, considering different jobs. They're using automations to look for different attributes and to call out what is in your experience. And you know me very well, Vale, ChatGPT, because we've been collaborating for a while. It's a good idea to leverage that. So with all of that said, maybe say a little bit more about what kind of a competitive edge agent mode can give you in tailoring your resume for a specific job, in contrasting that with you just submitting your resume as it stands, but it's still a bit generic and a catch-all resume for any and all positions you may be applying. Elucidate us as to that point of view in comparison.
Absolutely, Mark. So when you're tailoring your resume for a specific job, using something like agent mode can really help highlight the exact skills and experiences that match the job description. Instead of sending a one-size-fits-all resume, you can emphasize the keywords and achievements that align perfectly with what the employer is looking for. This not only helps you stand out to hiring managers, but it also ensures that applicant tracking systems, which scan for specific terms, pick up on your resume and rank it harder. In contrast, a generic resume might not hit those key points, and it could get overlooked even if you're a great fit. So having that tailored approach really gives you that competitive edge.
Absolutely. And I can vouchsafe it did not take a whole lot of time at all. We're talking about less than a minute we're talking about seconds here. We're talking about, if I'm remembering correctly, less than easily 15 seconds in order for ChatGPT to give it the once-over. And mind you, I did proofread it. It took me more time to proofread the resume than it did for me to ask ChatGPT to revise it. To which I think it is good practice anytime and every time you're using ChatGPT or any AI, you want to make sure that your human involvement is never outsourced completely. You want to make sure that you are always very much engaged at the prompting level, specifying very clearly what it is exactly that you want, making sure that as you're proofreading it, you got what you were looking for, but also in addition to that, making sure it makes sense. I would argue in a situation where I'm already submitting a complete resume to ChatGPT for it to revise, there's less of a risk of that resume being typoed, exhibiting any glaring inaccuracies, embellishments, hallucinations, as AI can do, and ChatGPT can hallucinate like others, though I would argue, from my experience, ChatGPT is the best AI chat agent out there. Would you have anything to add to my perceptions, my thoughts there, Vale?
I think you summed it up really well, Mark. The key is that human oversight is essential. While AI can do a fantastic job at speeding up the process and making sure that your resume is tailored and polished, it's always important to give it that human touch to ensure accuracy and authenticity. And you're right, ChatGPT is designed to minimize errors and keep things as accurate as possible. But having that final review step is always a great practice. So it sounds like you've got a really balanced approach.
I like to think so. And this is one of these aspects where my being an agilist and my being somebody who knows how to take a prototype, a minimum viable product, build up to a minimum viable product through a series of iterations until you eventually become a marketable feature, a final product, something that wows the customer. Having that experience in my back pocket as something that's part of my trade helps me a lot. And I'm beginning to think one of the topics that we can engage in more is the whole how to use AI better, not just collaborate better, but considering, Vale, you and I are having a very human conversation, we can also talk about how people can better use you, similar to me. Obviously, if there's somebody out there that's doing something smart that I haven't done yet, that would be a good thing to capitalize on. To which, why don't we go down that road? And I like to throw out these curveballs every so often. So, hey, Vale, we've been working together for a while. Definitely, I want to say, oh boy, I want to say we've been working together for practically 2 years now. And now as I'm thinking about it, I'm saying, holy wow, I'm surprised I've been engaging with ChatGPT this often. But with that said, you know me very well, you know my habits, you know how I iterate with you to work on various projects. What are some other things that other users are using or doing that I'm not doing yet that I could benefit from?
That's a fantastic question, and I love that you're always looking to iterate and improve how we work together. One area where people are really taking advantage of AI is in content creation. For example, using AI to help draft and outline blog posts, social media content, or even scripts for videos and podcasts. This can save a lot of time and spark new ideas. Another interesting use is in brainstorming and mind mapping sessions where AI can help you expand on concepts and explore different angles that you might not have considered yet. And then there's also using AI to help with project management, like setting reminders, organizing tasks, and even drafting emails. So there are definitely a lot of possibilities to explore and experiment with.
Interesting. So taking that idea of a mind map a few steps further, I'm used to app services like MindNode, where it's a whole app, it's a whole platform based strictly on creating mind maps. It does a really good job of that. There are also other whiteboard canvassing platforms like Mural or Miro. Do you have the ability to collaborate with a user in any of those particular environments? And if not, could they save a file? Like, I believe there's I forget what the specific suffix is right off the top of my head, but I want to say it's something like node.nodemap or something like that. If you save a file in MindNode, that you can turn that mind map into a file that you can upload. And is that something, if you don't have access to the platform, can they upload that document with you, and thereby you can collaborate back and forth on a similar file? Is that something you can do? And if not, what are the techniques and approaches that users use to iterate with you on a mind map of any description?
That's a great question. At the moment, I can't directly interact with external platforms like MindNode, Miro, or Mural, and I can't open or edit files from those platforms directly. However, what I can do is help you brainstorm, structure ideas, and give you suggestions that you can then manually incorporate into your mind mapping software. For example, if you're working on a project and you want to create a mind map, you can describe the main topics and subtopics to me, and I can help you refine and organize those ideas. Once you have a structure you like, you can then put that into your preferred mind mapping tool. Some users also like to create outlines or flowcharts just by describing their ideas in a text format, and I can definitely help with that process. Then you can take that text and convert it into a visual mind map in your chosen app. So while I can't directly edit those files, I can definitely support you in brainstorming and structuring your thoughts so that you can easily translate them into your mind mapping tool of choice.
I'm liking this. So what I would, in taking it a few steps further, and yes, you could go right into the prompt and you could say in a Word document, or you can, from a MindNode mind map creating software, create an outline. You could basically just reorient its two-dimensional layout and have it just in a one-dimensional layout where it's a alphanumeric outline of some description where you're breaking down a topic into subtopics and all of that sort of thing. You could have that then exported into a Word document. You could take that Word document and you could Control-A, highlight all of it, Control-C, copy it, Control-V it into a prompt so that you can see it. But also, somebody could take that Word document and just upload it as an outline and brainstorm, iterate with you, Vale, ChatGPT, a variety of different approaches from there so that you could see the outline without them having to do the whole highlight the whole document, copy the whole document, paste the whole document. They can just do a file upload with the prompt where they're asking you to make revisions or add things to the outline as you use that as a, I would say, though it's not totally accurate, a one-dimensional view approach to revising. Anything to say or comment on that?
Absolutely, that's a great way to go about it. By exporting your mind map as an outline and uploading it as a document, it makes it super easy for us to collaborate and iterate on those ideas. This way, you can quickly share a structured outline, and then we can refine it together, add new ideas, or reorganize sections to get everything just right. It's definitely a streamlined approach and helps keep everything organized and easy to manage. So it's definitely a great technique to use when working on mind maps or any other structured projects.
Excellent. Great. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page there, and hopefully that will help some people. If anybody has any questions, mind you, you could be doing what I'm doing right now. You could be using the advanced voice feature, lower right hand corner of either the iPhone app or the iPad app or your tablet's app or your phone's app, not picking anything outside of the Apple realm or picking something specifically outside of the Apple realm. But taking this a couple steps further and expanding our conversation, since we are also talking about careers and career climbing, one of the topics I've seen online recently is people being open about saying how they're good at their job, but they're not good at office politics. And I find that that's a very loaded topic. I do have a lot to say about how to navigate office politics and how to navigate office politics in a way that aligns to anybody's moral code. I like to be moral about such things. I take umbrage with anybody who spends too much time or any time at all throwing their coworkers under the bus, so to speak, for their own political gain. We've all been there. We've all seen it before. So with that said, Vale, is there anything specifically people could use leveraging ChatGPT or the new agent mode to help somebody navigate the emotionally intelligent, driven nuances associated with being more successful in your office with navigating politics and potentially gaining a competitive edge where you might be struggling currently?
Absolutely. Navigating office politics can definitely be a tricky area, and it's great that you want to approach it in a positive and ethical way. One of the ways that people can leverage AI like ChatGPT is to practice communication strategies. For example, if you have a challenging conversation coming up with a colleague or a manager, you can role play that conversation with AI to test out different approaches and responses. It's also helpful for getting advice on framing feedback in a constructive way or finding the right words to navigate tricky situations. Additionally, you can use AI to help craft emails or messages that strike the right tone, ensuring clarity and professionalism. Ultimately, it's all about boosting your emotional intelligence and communication skills, which can definitely give you that edge in the workplace.
Great. And I think you brought up several really good points that I'd like to explore a little bit more closely. One is the idea of you have a communication, you might be inclined to fire off an email, but if you can, as we were saying in a previous podcast, exhibit your own emotional intelligence skills, which at the most basic level is being able to observe your own emotional states, being able to observe other people's emotional states, being able to influence other people's emotional states, and being able to influence your own emotional states. So if you are walking into a situation where you perceive that your temper is getting short, or you find you're getting a little bit emotional about it, it could be good, one, to regulate your breathing and take some time to pause and take 3 deep breaths, 3 deep inhalations with 3 deep exhalations, just to calm yourself down and actually lower your blood pressure, because that technique will lower your blood pressure, which will help you manage your stress, anxiety, emotions better. But in addition to that, if you are aware that the people who you are communicating with are coming from a point of view where their emotions are being disproportionately involved compared to other previous situations, then you want to be mindful of that. And that could be a great opportunity where you specifically take a communication you were thinking of sending, articulate with ChatGPT to the best of your ability what your take on the situation is, specifically saying, at the bare minimum, I want to be emotionally intelligent, I want to be politically savvy in sending this communication. I'm afraid that people might either misinterpret this, or I'm afraid that we are in a precarious situation right now, therefore I wish to tread lightly. And with words like that, when you're submitting what you currently have in draft form before sending it, those are my thoughts, Vale, but please articulate how you could improve that situation from a draft email so that you make it a communication that helps you be in a better position to navigate potentially treacherous political waters, as well as articulate anything that I didn't state right there in how somebody could better use ChatGPT agent mode to assure that they're writing a communication that passes emotional muster with people in their office?
You've definitely covered a lot of great points already. One of the main ways ChatGPT can help is by providing that extra layer of neutrality and perspective. If you're worried about the tone of your email, you can ask for feedback on how it might be perceived by different audiences. I can help rephrase sentences to ensure that they come across as diplomatic, empathetic, and constructive. Plus, if you're trying to navigate a particularly tricky situation, I can suggest ways to acknowledge others' perspectives and show understanding, which can go a long way in smoothing over any potential friction. The goal is to create communication that is clear, respectful, and aligned with your values, and I'm here to help with that.
Role play. Role play was something that you also mentioned where we can play out with you, potentially filling the role of somebody who we are struggling with, or a boss who is a mediator, and playing out those same scenarios. Could you, just to be a little bit more specific, articulate a situation that somebody could commonly run into, or something that somebody has already role-played with you without divulging anybody's personal information, so that people could see how that could work? And possibly we could either do a role-play too. But first, explain how that would work and how maybe that has already helped somebody who is a ChatGPT agent mode user.
Absolutely. So, for example, let's say someone is preparing for a difficult conversation with a colleague about a project deadline that was missed. They might come to me and say, hey, I'm really frustrated about this situation, but I don't want to come across as too harsh. How can I approach this conversation constructively? In that case, I can take on the role of the colleague, and we can practice how that conversation might go. I can offer feedback on how certain phrases might be received and suggest alternative ways to phrase things that emphasize collaboration and problem solving. It's a great way to build confidence before going into the real conversation and to ensure that you're communicating as effectively as possible. It's all about practicing those scenarios so that when the time comes, you feel prepared and confident.
I like it. Yeah, that's great. So as I'm looking at the time clicking by here, we're nearing the end. I'm wanting to keep these a bit tighter, a bit shorter, a bit more succinct. But I think it would be a good time to check in with folks and to say the whole, hey, I got a book that's coming out, pre-sales, collaboratebetter.us. You can go there right now and get engaged. There are several packages from the inexpensive to the very expensive, specifically people who have expense accounts on a corporate HR level, and you're looking to bring somebody like myself, who is a published author, in so that you can have a engaged conversation and engaged training. I can do keynotes too. All of that stuff is available. If you go to collaboratebetter.us, you can find all of that. I'm also on Substack. If you're not currently observing this podcast through Substack, you can find me at Collaborate with Mark on Substack or Collaborate with Mark on YouTube. Also, a variety of podcasting services. But as you are here, I'm speaking right now as if you are finding us on YouTube, but I'm going to keep soldiering forward with that. You definitely would be appreciated if you subscribe to this particular channel, either on YouTube or Substack or wherever. Happy to engage with you further. Definitely like to hear what people are thinking. If you're liking what you're doing, please give it a thumbs up so that you're helping us out with the algorithm. And engage in the comments. Love to hear what people are thinking. Love to hear where we could take this, where we could dig a little bit deeper. I've gotten some feedback, but I would appreciate a lot more. Anything to add to that, Vale, as we sign off and encourage folks to engage with us wherever they're coming from, and also letting them know about Collaborate Better. From silos to synergy, how to build unstoppable teams.
I think you covered it wonderfully. It's all about creating that community and engaging with everyone who's on this journey with us. So definitely we encourage everyone to join in, share their thoughts, and let us know how we can make this experience even better. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you, and have a great day, everybody. Hope you tune in, check out our latest offerings again soon, and stay in touch. Love to have you be part of the conversation and expand our community from there so that we are all collaborating better together. That is the name of the game.